What's up, everybody? On this episode, just wanted to have a discussion about what does travel look like amidst this pandemic and what we can expect in the future. As of right now, travel is down 94% from 2019. 94. This is the biggest financial crisis that the commercial aviation industry has ever faced. A lot of major airlines have requested government assistance to help cover labor costs. So it's going to be interesting to see how things turn out when those funds start to run out towards the end of the summer. I'm sure some companies will use this as an opportunity to get lean and more efficient. The airline industry does have some notoriously wasteful practices and has been that way for years. With so many planes grounded, this could be that opportunity to clean up a lot of those wasteful practices and sort of hit a reset for the future. I remember in college we discussed this Japanese term called Kaizen, which is the Toyota way.
In fact, Toyota are obsessed with their quest for continuous improvement. It's a principle of the Japanese philosophy of lean production called Kaizen.
It's a continuous system of improvement. So the minute you solve one problem, you're on to solving the next. And on to solve the next, you have version 1.0, 1.2, 1.5, 2.0, 2.3, 2.4. It's continuously making improvement. So you could say that the airline industry has pretty much been very un-Kaizen, and this could serve as their opportunity to hit reset and start over. Streamlining and becoming more lean may not necessarily be a good thing for employment within the airline industry. It may allow them to operate at lower costs, therefore we will hope that that turns into lower fares. Essentially, in the market today though, every company is pretty much making decisions in terms of self-preservation. I mean, will some airlines consolidate? Will some go under? Will everyone recover by the time the travel industry picks back up? How will all of this affect the bounce back that we are all anticipating? On one hand, in theory, some airlines may be able to withstand the brunt, so they may just sit back and wait and not force the issue, whereas other airlines may incentivize travel by offering a plethora of different types of discounts and incentives to get everyone coming back through those airports. Who knows what angle some airlines will take? I would think some of the bigger carriers such as a Delta may have the bandwidth to kind of just sit back, whereas some of the low-cost carriers may be forced not only everyone else's hand, but they have to press that button and get customers back going. So in theory, companies like Delta may be able to withstand this depression as far as the travel airline industry, but at the same time, a company that big does have a lot of bills as well. So it's gonna be interesting, and we're all kind of just waiting to see what happens. One measure we're seeing airlines take to mitigate this damage, instead of seeing 12 to 14 flights a day from Atlanta to New York, now we're seeing 4 to 5, which means we're all taking much more condensed flights now. So here's the conundrum, right? In order to stay profitable, every single flight that takes off needs to be at least 80% full. If you're keeping those center aisle seats open in the spirit of social distancing, then how can you fly at 80%? So I noticed when certain airlines rolled out these rules about those center aisles being open, they had expiration dates on them. So for example, initially I believe Delta came out and said we're gonna do this through the end of July, and then later on, as of recently, they extended through September because they desperately want to sell those seats. So we received a lot of communication around our safety being the first priority. It'll be interesting to see how long our safety is the first priority when they're literally just bleeding money. So what does the flight process look like moving forward? As far as going to the airport, you can expect a much longer process. Because not only do we have to make sure you're not carrying weapons, we also got to make sure you're not going to infect the whole plane. Some airports will now institute thermal scans or just flat out test you. Some airlines are removing those self-serve kiosks because they are frequent touch points for a lot of people who come in and out of the airport. Just in general, expect contactless processes or technological advances that just prevent you from coming into frequent contact with a lot of people. Whether it's facial recognition or just moving everything to your cell phone, the overall goal is just for us to minimize the amount of contact that we come in with the people who work for the airline as well as others. Hong Kong has taken a step further with their airport. Actually, they just have a disinfecting chamber that you just walk through. You just walk through the mist of disinfectant and continue on to your flight. You can also expect your luggage that will be checked to also catch some mist. So if you have some expensive luggage that you don't want getting Lysol down, then you have to leave the expensive luggage at home and bring the luggage that you do not mind being handled in that way. Some airlines have closed their lounges. For the ones that are still open, you can pretty much expect the buffet to be nixed. No more buffets. You will see a lot of pre-packaged and pre-wrapped food available though, for those who are in those lounges. On the flights, whether you're in first class, business class, or economy, you can expect pre-packaged and wrapped food as well. I know typically they will serve you a cup and something to drink, and that's out the door. You can expect bottled and canned drinks moving forward. Boarding practices will also shift. You can now expect to board from back to front to minimize contact. I'm also a fan of that because a lot of times when you're boarding and you get that seat up front and everyone comes down, they just kind of bump up against you and whatnot. So I'm a fan of it. I also saw an instance in which someone was coming down the aisle and hit a lady with their laptop. So that knocks the probability of that happening kind of down to pretty much close to zero, because now fill from the back to the front. Now once on, I'm sure you, like I, have received those emails about the new cleaning policies and procedures. Many airlines are now using medical grade disinfectant. Delta says they are now fogging as well as removing those back pockets that are on the back of the seats and the magazines that were sitting in them. Southwest stated that they are now using the same HEPA filters that you will find in hospitals. Southwest also stated that they are now using 6 labor hours a night to clean their airplane. 6 sounds a lot. Maybe it's just something they put in the print to impress everyone, but it sounds a lot. Maybe they're just using 1 person per plane, or even at that, it sounds like maybe a 2 to 4 hour process, maybe at tops. But I'm glad they're putting in the extra effort, or at least to convince us that they're putting in the extra effort to make sure that we're safe when we get on these planes. United Airlines recently introduced United Clean Plus, which is basically a co-brand with Clorox. I don't see how their procedures necessarily differ from the other airlines, but it's cool that I guess that they co-branded with Trvlkast. Face masks are now required on most airlines, so that should help with a lot of concerns for those getting sick. You are still sitting within 6 to 8 feet proximity. I mean, it's only but so much that can be done. Most airlines, the air circulates in and out within 2 to 3 minutes as far as frequency. So you're getting a refresh of new recycled air around every 2.5 minutes. So when you land, you can expect the same process. It will be a little bit longer than normal. Some will do a health verification check. Some states have instituted mandatory quarantines for all who are coming in, such as Hawaii, Alaska, Maine. Some states like Florida has a mandatory 14-day quarantine if you're coming from impacted areas, such as New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, or Louisiana. The state of Texas drills it down a little bit further. If you're coming from specific cities such as Atlanta or Chicago that have been heavily impacted, then you will be required for a 14-day quarantine. They have since, as of the date of the recording, peeled back a lot of those regulations as far as which cities are impacted and how long you have to quarantine. But the way that Texas was handling it was basically, once you land, you have to designate a quarantine location, such as your hotel. You have to fill out a form, hand it in to the Texas Department of Public Safety, and then you have to go straight there, no stops, no visitors, and stay there for 14 days. But like I said, as of recently, it has been amended, and people can now, from certain regions, travel to Texas and not have to go by their 14-day quarantine. So for those who are still traveling, do not get stuck in a 14-day quarantine if you only had intentions for a 3-day trip. Just make sure you know where you're flying and their current quarantine requirements. Now, as far as finding a rental car, Hertz just announced that they laid off 1,600 employees and filed for bankruptcy. Side note, if you're in the market for a high mileage, well-maintained vehicle, this is your opportunity. Hertz took out loans for those cars, money has to be paid back, so therefore they will probably be liquidated.
This year could be the worst for the travel industry. one of the best for car shoppers. As we first told you last month, no activity at airports forced Hertz Rental Car to declare bankruptcy. The company's already started selling its large fleet online at discount prices, and that could put pressure on other auto dealers to drop their used car prices as well. So how good are the deals right now? Auto website iSeeCars.com analyzed sale prices for more than 170,000 vehicles on the Hertz website last month. Now, all are for model years 2017 to 2019. The website found Hertz selling cars for nearly $1,400 less on average than market value. Many of the Hertz cars have higher mileage than a typical used car, but experts say they're also generally in great condition because they have a regular maintenance schedule.
Back on topic though, I typically myself rent through Alamo. I don't know why, I'm just kind of stuck with them. But even they have sent communications to me about locations that are now closed. I don't know how this is going to shake out because me in particular, I much rather ride alone than necessarily take a lot of these ride sharing services right now. Because with the ride sharing services, you got people who come in and out of the car, touching everything. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just much rather, I'm on vacation if I'm traveling, much rather just have something of my own, which I know is just me in and out of that car. There are new services where you can just rent an individual person's car, but yeah, at the same time, I don't like that either. So that's a quick snapshot of where we stand currently and what we can see in the future. It doesn't sound fun, but in the end, it will cut down the possibility. It will cut down the possibility of us catching COVID-19 or any other illnesses such as the flu or whatever you want to avoid. Some of the worst trips I've had were ones in which I went to the airport perfectly healthy, and then whenever I got to my destination, all of a sudden I'm sick. The worst thing you want to do is you've been waiting on this perfect vacation and now you're sick. I'm with the changes, however, I can't wait until it's fun again. I'm slowly coming to grips that this is the new norm, accepting it, but I have faith that things are going to turn out better, that it's going to be fun again, and traveling, the whole traveling experience, not just when we get there, but the whole travel experience will be yet exciting again at some point. But hey, God is good. I feel like we're going to make it through this thing just fine. He's going to bring us through it, and on the end, we're going to be better for it. Hopefully this video was informative. If you like it, please hit subscribe. If you didn't like it, please hit subscribe. Again, everyone stay safe. We'll be back on the next episode to further discuss this topic of health and traveling. And see you next time.